This is the first worked example for calling a method in Java using subgoal labels. Here are the subgoal labels for calling a method. Subgoal 1. Classify the method as a static method or instance method. If it's static, use the class name. If it's instance, you must have or create an instance. Subgoal 2. Write the method call, either the instance or class name, dot, method name, and open and close parentheses. Subgoal 3. Determine whether the parameters are appropriate, the number of parameters that need to be passed, and the data types of those parameters. Subgoal 4. Determine what type the method will return, if anything, and where it will be stored. Subgoal 5. Evaluate the right-hand side of the expression. The value is going to be dependent on the method's purpose. What does the method do? Let's look at our worked example. For this worked example, we want to say, given the following code, how do you read in a double variable? The code that we have is scanner input is assigned the value new scanner system in. This statement says we have created a new object instance called input, and it holds a reference to a scanner object, which is by default the input stream or the keyboard. This allows us to get input from the user via the keyboard. Subgoal 1 says we need to classify the method as a static method or an instance method. In this case, it's an instance method, and we have an instance called input. Then we want to write the method call using the instance input, followed by a dot, followed by the method name, next double, and an open and close set of parentheses. Input dot next double, open close parentheses. You may not know if it's a static or an instance method at this point. Most everything that you do will generally be an instance method. You have to know the name of the method that you want to call or look it up within the API. For reading in a double variable, the name of the method is next double. Now we want to be able to call this. Here's the API for the next double method within the scanner class. Note that there are no parameters to this method, as we can see by the open and close parentheses. We can see that the method returns a double with the word double before the method name. Also, you can look under return the double scanned from the input. Now we can move on to subgoal 3 that says whether or not parameters are appropriate. In this case, we saw that no parameters were required. Determine what the method will return. We saw that next double returns a double, so we need to say where are we going to store that value that this method is returning. How about we declare a variable called value of data type double to receive the value that's being returned from next double. So we have double value is assigned the output from input.nextDouble. Subgoal 5 tells us to evaluate the right-hand side expression and figure out what that value is going to be. Next double reads the next value from the input stream and attempts to convert it into a decimal value. It will take keyboard entered values 1, 2, 3.56 and then return it and put it into the variable value. If the user enters something that is not a double, the system will throw an exception, input mismatch exception, saying that the input received from the keyboard does not match the data type that I was expecting. This is how you would read a double from the keyboard into your program. That is the end of this worked example.